Never ignore these 10 early signs of an avoidant partner in dating. It could save you from serious heartbreak. Are you tired of dating people who seem amazing at first, only to pull away the moment things start getting real? You're not alone, and today we're uncovering exactly how to recognize an avoidant dater before you get in too deep. Avoidant attachment is basically an emotional escape artist situation. The person fears intimacy and closeness, often without even realizing it. They're not bad people, but they do have a habit of running from relationship intensity. In this video, we'll break down 10 clear signs that the new person you're seeing might have an avoidant attachment style. Spotting these red flags early can save you confusion, frustration, and heartache. Quick note, not every avoidant will show all these signs, but if you notice several of them consistently, it's a pretty strong pattern. And remember, being avoidant doesn't make someone undateable. It just means you'll need to recognize what's happening and decide if and how to navigate it. 1. Mixed signals, hot and cold behavior. Does your new love interest run hot and cold? One day they're super into you, texting, making plans, maybe even calling you perfect, and the next day they're distant or MIA. This flip-flopping is classic avoidant behavior. They might say one thing and do another, sending mixed signals that leave you scratching your head. Example, they plan an amazing date night and talk about wanting a relationship, then disappear for a week without explanation. Their words and actions just don't line up. One minute you feel adored, the next you're doubting everything. It's like dating Jekyll and Hyde, super confusing. Why it happens? Avoidants often get uncomfortable as emotional intimacy grows, so they subconsciously pump the brakes when things start feeling too close. Think of it like this. Closeness triggers their internal danger alarm because deep down, intimacy feels like being engulfed or smothered. So they press forward when it's light and fun, then pull back once feelings deepen. If you're feeling a whiplash from their back-and-forth behavior, don't assume you're crazy. It might be them wrestling with their fear of closeness. Comes on strong, then pulls away. This sign is a cousin of the mixed signals, but it's so common, it deserves its own mention. Some avoidant types actually come on really strong in the beginning. We're talking intense charm, flattery, maybe even rapid declarations of affection. They might shower you with attention, act super into you, even drop early "I love you" bombs, or talk like your soulmates after a couple of dates. It feels like a fairy tale whirlwind, until suddenly, they slam on the brakes. Example, in week 1, they text you every morning and plan multiple dates, saying things like, "I've never felt this connection before." By week 3, they're avoiding plans, saying they're busy or need space. It's a dizzying 180-degree turn. You're left wondering, where did that enthusiastic person go? What's going on? This initial intensity is often an illusion of intimacy. Avoidance, especially the fearful avoidant type, sometimes starts strong because early excitement is safe. It's not truly intimate yet, but as soon as the relationship could actually become real, beyond the honeymoon fireworks, their fear kicks in, and they withdraw. It's like they lit a bonfire of romance, then panicked when it got too warm. If someone rockets into love and then ice-cold ghosts or distances soon after, be cautious. Healthy relationships usually build steadily, not roller coaster from 100 to 0 overnight. 3. Slow or avoidant communication, bad texter syndrome. Do they frequently go hours or days without replying to your messages, even though you know they're not that busy? Do they say things like, "Sorry, I'm just a bad texter," all the time? Consistently poor communication early on can be a sign of an avoidant dater. To someone with a secure or anxious style, a quick hello text is no big deal, but an avoidant person might feel texting is an obligation or trap rather than a casual connection. Example, you send a friendly "How's your day?" and you get radio silence until tomorrow, or only a brief answer after 8 hours. Maybe they reply only late at night or sporadically. You're constantly staring at your phone, waiting. They might even joke about being terrible at keeping in touch. Why this matters. Avoidants often need space to self-regulate their emotions, and constant contact can feel overwhelming, where a securely attached person might fire off a quick reply without a second thought. An avoidant might feel pressured by the expectation to respond and thus delay it. They use distance, even digital distance, to feel in control. Of course, sometimes people really are busy, but if lack of communication is a pattern, and especially if they acknowledge they withdraw from contact, it could be an avoidant trait. Early in dating, most enthusiastic partners are finding excuses to talk more, not vanish regularly. 4. Keeps conversations shallow or vague. Notice if your new date seems allergic to deep conversations. Do they dodge topics about feelings, past relationships, or personal struggles? If everything stays on the surface level, small talk, fun banter, or intellectual debates with no personal vulnerability, that's another flag. Avoidant people often avoid delving into their emotional world, and they might deflect if you ask anything too personal. They can even seem mysterious or secretive about basic details of their life. Example, you ask about their childhood or how they feel about something, and they quickly change the subject or give a joke answer. Or they speak in generalities like, "Yeah, my last relationship just didn't work out," with no real explanation. It's hard to get a read on what they're actually feeling or thinking. The tell. Early on, most people are eager to share at least something about themselves to build a connection. If this person expertly redirects every attempt at emotional closeness, steering the convo back to lighter topics or their own interests, they might be putting up walls. Foggy, vague communication, lots of talk, no depth, is actually listed as a classic early sign of love avoidance. It doesn't mean they're boring, it means they're subconsciously guarding their heart. They might genuinely enjoy time with you, but sharing real feelings or past hurts is too risky for them, so you get the smokescreen. 5. Sketchy relationship history or none at all. Pay attention to how they describe their past love life. An avoidant dater often has a history that reflects their fear of commitment. This could look like multiple short-lived flings, situationships, or long stretches of being single by choice. If they're over, say, 30 and have never had at least one semi-long-term relationship, that's worth noting. They might rationalize it as, "I just haven't found the perfect person," or "I'm focusing on my career." Meanwhile, the pattern suggests they bolt whenever things start getting serious. Example, on your date, they mention they've never been in a relationship longer than a few months. Or every ex was crazy or wanted too much. Perhaps they admit they usually prefer casual dating or they've just been having fun for years. These tidbits hint that commitment has consistently been a problem. Dig deeper, the specifics matter. If they say all their past romances ended because of the other person or due to trivial reasons, that could be avoidant dodging, finding excuses to end things once closeness grows. Also, an avoidant might have no relationship history to speak of, despite being of an age where that's unusual. They might have avoided relationships entirely or kept everything very casual. This sign isn't about judging someone for not having a long-term ex. It's about recognizing a pattern of avoiding commitment. Someone securely attached may also have short past relationships, but they'll usually have some insight or willingness to discuss what happened. The avoidant individual often just shrugs it off or blames circumstances without any indication they tried to work through issues, because deep down, they never intended to go the distance. I need my space. Overly strong independence vibes. There's nothing wrong with valuing independence, but avoidant daters tend to broadcast it like a warning label. They might literally say things early like, "I need a lot of space," "I'm not the clingy type," or "I have a really busy life and I do my own thing." They often emphasize freedom over partnership to make sure you don't expect too much closeness. If you feel like you're being kept at arm's length, you probably are. Example, they insist on keeping plans very loose. Maybe they don't want to see you too frequently, citing work or hobbies. They might joke that they're a lone wolf, or half-seriously warn you that they're bad at relationships. When you try to schedule the next date, they respond with something non-committal like, "Yeah, we'll see. My week is kinda packed. I'll let you know." Read between the lines. People with avoidant attachment truly prize their independence. It's a core part of their identity and sense of safety. To them, getting too close too fast feels like losing themselves or being controlled. So they drop hints, or even explicit statements, to manage your expectations. They want you to know they won't be around 24/7. If someone repeatedly highlights how much they love their space, or how they're not looking for anything serious, take it at face value. It's not just quirkiness. It's a sign they'll pump the brakes whenever togetherness intensifies. As one resource puts it, avoidants often openly state their need for freedom or self-reliance above all else. 7. No progression in emotional intimacy. In a healthy, budding relationship, as weeks go by, you generally feel closer. You share more secrets, spend more time, maybe meet each other's friends. With an avoidant, you might notice that things aren't really deepening in those ways. You could date for a month or two and still feel you're on first date behavior. They keep you in a sort of dating limbo. Fun dates and laughs, but no significant escalation of commitment or emotional investment. Example: after several weeks, you realize you still know very little about their inner world, their dreams, fears, or even simple things like what upsets them. They haven't introduced you to anyone in their life, and they aren't particularly interested in meeting your friends or family either. Everything just stays casual. Key sign: an avoidant person often resists integrating you into their inner circle or routine. Meeting friends or family is postponed indefinitely. They might enjoy going out with you, but they don't invite you to the parts of their life that really matter to them. If you suggest, "Hey, maybe I could tag along to that thing with your friends," and they nervously dodge it or give excuses, that's telling. Avoidants fear that involving you too much means things are getting too real. Similarly, they might be hesitant to be labeled as a couple in public or on social media. Early on, they'll keep things in a bubble. If, after plenty of dates, you still feel like a stranger beyond the basic fun stuff, you might be dating an avoidant who's holding the relationship in a fixed, shallow state. Pushes away when you get closer and blames you subtly. This is a big one. Whenever you try to get closer, whether it's having a serious talk, spending a full weekend together, or expressing stronger feelings, the avoidant finds a way to create distance. They might not say it outright, but their actions speak loud. Sometimes they even flip it and make you feel guilty for wanting more connection by labeling you as needy or sensitive. Example: you bring up a concern or say you'd like a bit more quality time, and they immediately get defensive or distant. They might respond with something like, "I don't know why you're so worked up, everything's fine," effectively dismissing your feelings. Or if you shed a tear or show vulnerability, they act uncomfortable or make a sarcastic comment. In worse cases, they might even criticize you for having emotions, like, "Not this again, you're so sensitive." Avoidant tell: when someone is uncomfortable with your needs or feelings, it's a red flag. A loving partner, especially early on, when everyone's on best behavior, usually tries to understand and reassure you. The avoidant, however, often feels overwhelmed or trapped by emotional displays, so their gut reaction is to pull back or shut it down. This might come out as coldness, changing the topic, or implying you're the problem for wanting normal emotional closeness. It's a form of emotional distancing. By making you doubt your right to those feelings, they hope you'll stop bringing them up. If every time you open up, you end up feeling worse, like you were too much, that's a serious sign you're dealing with avoidance. Healthy relationships make you feel heard, not crazy for wanting connection. 9. past trauma or family history hints. This sign is more about clues they might drop rather than behavior towards you. Many avoidants have a background that explains how they became that way. For instance, they might mention a toxic or emotionally distant family upbringing. If they casually reveal that their parents were overly harsh, neglectful, or conversely too controlling, it could be an origin of their attachment style. Similarly, if they hint at a bad past heartbreak or betrayal that taught them not to rely on anyone, your avoidant alarm should go off. Example, they say something like, "Yeah, my family isn't super close, we kind of do our own thing," or, "My parents are great, but they're very intense, I learned to be independent early." Maybe they joke that they're emotionally scarred from a previous relationship. They might shrug these comments off, but take note, such history often breeds avoidance in adult relationships. Connect the dots. People aren't avoidant for no reason. Often, as kids, their emotional needs weren't properly met. Maybe love was conditional or expressing feelings wasn't safe. As a result, they grow up believing depending on others isn't worth the risk. By listening to how someone talks about their past, you can sometimes catch these threads. Of course, not everyone will spill their childhood story on a first date, nor should they. But even small remarks like, "I don't really talk to my family much," or "I've never had a relationship where I could really be myself," are hints. The point here isn't to judge or psychoanalyze your date on the spot, but to quietly note if they have the kind of background often linked to avoidant behavior. It helps you approach them with a clearer understanding that their distance isn't about you, it's rooted in old wounds. 10. Explicit commitment phobia and the slow fade. Sometimes, an avoidant will straight up tell you they're not ready for commitment or not looking for anything serious. Other times, they won't say it outright, but their actions scream it. They do the slow fade as soon as you try to define the relationship. If every attempt to talk about what are we or the future is met with evasion, or if they drop phrases like, "I'm not good at relationships," take it at face value. They're warning you that they can't or won't step up into a committed role. Example: you've been seeing each other for a while and you bring up exclusivity or a simple label like boyfriend or girlfriend. They react with visible discomfort. Maybe they say, "I really like you, but I just don't want to rush things," or "I'm not sure if I'm ready to settle down." After that conversation, you notice them becoming more distant for a few days. Classic avoidant retreat. In some cases, they might even preemptively say on date 1 or 2, "Just so you know, I'm not really looking for anything serious right now." Believe them. Spot the pattern. Many avoidants have what's essentially commitment phobia. They might enjoy your company immensely, but as soon as it edges towards a true commitment, panic sets in. You might see them start finding faults in the relationship, sometimes trivial things, as excuses to back out. Or they'll just gradually ghost you, the infamous slow fade, where contact tapers off because it's easier to disappear than to have the "I can't do this" talk. If someone tells you they're not ready or not good at relationships, don't fall into the trap of thinking you'll be the exception or you can change their mind. Also, note how often they've been not ready. If this is a pattern across their life, they admit they usually bail when things get serious, it's a strong avoidant indicator. At the end of the day, if commitment freaks them out, you'll have a hard time getting your needs met in the long run. Conclusion: trust the signs and protect your heart. Dating should be joyful and exciting, not an emotional maze where you're constantly questioning yourself. If you've spotted several of these signs in someone you're dating, you might be dealing with an avoidant attachment style. Trust your instincts. As the saying goes, when they show you who they are, believe them. If their behavior consistently shows avoidance, don't cling to just their rare sweet moments or their words that things will change. Look at the overall pattern. Now, seeing these signs doesn't mean you must run for the hills immediately. Some people with avoidant tendencies can and do work on themselves, especially if they're aware of their attachment issues. And certainly no one is perfect. Everyone has vulnerabilities. But the key is, don't ignore early red flags. It's much harder to fix a relationship stuck in the anxious avoidant push-pull than it is to recognize it early and make a clear-eyed choice. Keep in mind, too, avoidant behavior is not about you. It's rooted in their own fear and history. You can't love it out of them by overgiving or chasing. If you decide to continue dating this person, do so with healthy boundaries. Communicate what you need, and if they consistently can't meet those needs, or won't even try, you may need to step back for your own well-being. On the flip side, if you really like them and see potential, you might give it time and go slow. Sometimes trust and patience can help an avoidant become more comfortable. But guard your heart until you see that progress. Ultimately, knowledge is power. By spotting these avoidant signs early, you save yourself from taking their distancing behaviors personally or getting caught in a cycle of self-blame. You'll know it's not just in your head. About 25% of people in the dating pool are estimated to have an avoidant attachment style. They tend to cycle through relationships more frequently, so these signs are more common than you might think. Now you have the insight to identify them. And remember, you deserve a partner who wants to be close, who answers your texts, who is excited to deepen the relationship. Don't settle for constant confusion. If you see the avoidant pattern and it's causing you pain, it might be time to step back or move on to find someone who can meet you emotionally. Trust yourself to make that call.